Real Steel is an American science fiction drama film of 2011. The plot of the film follows former boxer Charlie Kenton, who used to be a successful fighter but lost his chance to win a title when robots took over the boxing ring. He makes a living for himself by piecing together scrap metal into low-end fighters and betting on fights. Things take an interesting turn for Charlie when he teams up with his estranged son, Max, to build and train a championship robot. The film starts with Charlie Kenton driving to a carnival in his truck. The scene transitions to the next morning when Charlie receives a call from Bill, whom Charlie owes some money. Since Charlie is all broke, he tries to dodge Bill's call and hangs up. Just then, a small girl approaches him and asks him to show her the Ambush. Ambush is Charlie's robot that he uses in the robot fights. The 2020 San Leandro County Fair starts where Charlie's bot, Ambush, is supposed to fight an 800-pound steer belonging to promoter and carnival owner Ricky for $3,000. However, Charlie is worried as the bull is not 800 pounds, but 2,000 pounds. So he makes a deal with Ricky that whoever wins will get $20,000. Ricky agrees and warns Charlie that if he loses, he will have to pay each and every cent, or else he will be taken down. Finally, the showdown starts between Charlie's bot, Ambush, and Ricky's bull, Black Thunder. Charlie controls Ambush and takes down the bull very smoothly. However, during the fight, Charlie gets distracted by the crowd and his bot ends up getting torn away by the bull. Charlie keeps asking Ricky to stop the fight, but Ricky does not pay any heed to it until Ambush is completely destroyed to pieces. After the fight, Charlie quickly recollects the parts of his robot and loads them on the truck, attempting to get away. However, just before he's about to abscond, he learns that his ex-girlfriend, Caroline, died, and he must now attend a hearing to decide the future of their 11-year-old son, Max Kenton. Later, Ricky is angry to see that Charlie has already fled away without paying him the bet money. The scene cuts to the custody hearing in a courtroom where Max's maternal aunt, Deborah Fallon Barnes, appeals to the judge that she and her wealthy husband, Marvin, can take care of Max. However, the judge states the laws which require a written will for a person to take full custody of a child by his or her parents. Charlie, who was supposed to show up at the hearing, fails to appear at the court. So, Deborah protests that as Charlie has already waived his rights to custody since Max's birth, she and her husband should be given custody. But just then, Charlie storms into the courtroom and sees the rich Marvin. While Deborah goes to check in on Max, Charlie decides to bargain a deal with Marvin and asks him to pay $75,000 for the custody. When Marvin hesitates, Charlie increases the stakes and demands $100,000, warning him to sign up Max to the state's custody if Marvin does not accept the deal. Marvin agrees and negotiates that Charlie retains Max for 2 months while Marvin and Deborah go on vacation. He promises to give half of the money in advance and strictly asks Charlie to keep the details of their dealing a secret from Deborah. After signing off Max to Deborah and Marvin, Charlie makes a phone call to buy the once famous Noisy Boy robot and asks for it to be delivered to his friend's gym. He then goes to the gym, which is owned by Bailey Tallet, the daughter of Charlie's former boxing coach. Bailey berates Charlie for buying a $45,000 robot and not paying her the $6,000 that he owes her for the rent. Just then, Marvin arrives to make the first half payment. He and Charlie had worked it out to tell Deborah that Charlie really wants to spend some father-son bonding time with Max and will be dropping him back to New York in 2 months. After Deborah and Marvin leave, Max is pissed at Charlie for selling him for $50,000 and demands he gives him half the money, making Charlie realize that Max is one stubborn kid. Charlie shuts Max off and walks inside the gym to see his newly bought robot. Max follows and is enthralled to see Noisy Boy as Max himself is a robot boxing fan. When Charlie checks the robot, he's bummed to find out that it does not have a voice recognition feature. However, the genius Max knows that Noisy Boy understands Japanese and starts controlling it by speaking Japanese, leaving Charlie and Bailey in shock. Bailey resets the command matrix to English, and after Charlie is able to run his commands, he quickly loads it on his truck to get to an underground match. However, before he's about to leave, Max intervenes and convinces Charlie to take him along. Upon reaching the fight club, Charlie insists on taking the main event fight with another robot boxer, Midas, betting it for $50,000. Although Max suggests taking an undercard fight, Charlie feels overconfident and disproves all of Max's suggestions. Finally, the fight begins, and Noisy Boy initially takes down Midas with full swing. But soon enough, Charlie loses control over Noisy Boy, and it's completely destroyed by Midas. Max slates Charlie for not listening to his instincts and losing the robot. After losing Noisy Boy, Charlie wants to build a new robot from scratch, so he takes Max to a Meadow Valley junkyard to scavenge robot parts. While scavenging, Charlie tells Max how the era of human boxing faded into robot boxing as people wanted to see more shows and more violence. All of a sudden, Max falls down a cliff and is saved by a robot's arm buried in the junk. Petrified, Charlie runs to save his son and pulls him up. Max suggests getting the robot that saved his life, but Charlie does not pay any heed to it. So, Max takes it upon himself to dig the robot and spends the entire night bringing it to Charlie. The following morning, Bailey is mad at Charlie for accumulating junk in her father's gym. She berates Charlie for destroying his career and gives him a last chance to redeem himself. Charlie asks her to look into the robot that Max brought and see if that powers up. After the robot powers up, Bailey realizes that it has the rare shadow function, which means it can mirror opponents and handle movements and store them in its memory. Max is elated to see the robot function. Later, he washes up the junk on it and discovers that it's a Generation 2 Atom, a sparring and intact robot designed to withstand severe damage. After washing up Atom, Max insists on Charlie getting a fight for Atom. At night, he secretly takes Atom for a walk and the two grow close to each other. The next day, Max talks to Bailey about Charlie and she shows him how successful his father was back in the day. Charlie intervenes as he does not like to talk much about his career. He tells Bailey that he's going to a fight at night and will be looking for a partner to move in with, leaving Bailey sad. At night, the father-son duo reaches Atlanta and Max is flabbergasted to see Zeus, the greatest robot boxer of all time there. Zeus has an adaptive recognition system that helps in recognizing patterns and makes it capable to rewrite fight codes instantaneously. Meanwhile, Charlie is busy requesting his friend, Finn, to give him a fight so he can make some money, but Finn refuses. While Max is amazed to see Zeus's fight, Charlie returns back dejected. The next day, Charlie takes Max to the zoo, which is a low-profile robot boxing ring where Max pits Atom against Metro for $1,000. Following Charlie's guide, Max controls Atom and wins the first round. After getting $1,000, Max places a bet again for round 2 despite Charlie's reluctance. As the second round starts, Atom overcomes Metro with a lethal move that Max taught him before. Charlie and Max are over the moon due to their win. They spend the night at a motel where Charlie calls Bailey and proudly tells her about their win. Meanwhile, Max programs Noisy Boy's vocal response controls in Atom and then spends time teaching Max moves. Later, he informs Charlie that he used the spin frame from Ambush and the circuitry sleeve from Noisy Boy to make Atom even better. Charlie is pretty impressed by Max and asks him to dance the way he was dancing a moment ago in front of the boxing crowd. At first, Max refuses, but agrees to the dance in exchange for Charlie helping him with Atom's fighting move memory. Charlie fulfills his promise and teaches Atom the boxing moves, making him an expert. Meanwhile, Max opens the boxing fights with impressive dances. The team effort of Max and Charlie results in a series of victories and Charlie earning a lot of money. He even returns the money he owed to Bailey with interest. Soon, everyone is talking about Atom, after which Charlie is offered a league fight in World Robot Boxing. At the WRB, Farah Lemkova, the lady who owns Zeus, invites Charlie to her suite and offers to buy Atom for $200,000. Charlie agrees in a split second, but Max straight away refuses and tells Farah that Atom is not for sale. Charlie tries to convince Max that Atom will be destroyed after he fights Twin Cities, a vicious league bot, so it's better to sell him now and get some money. But Max makes him realize that Atom is different than other bots and is worth something more. Finally, the fight between the national champion Twin Cities and the first-time professional Atom starts with Atom on the attack. Max starts panicking and asks Charlie to figure out the opponent's weaknesses. Charlie notices that Twin Cities got a hitch in its shoulder every time it throws the right punch. Using this information, Charlie controls Atom to win by knockout after getting the Twin Cities system crashed. The crowd goes crazy for Atom, after which Max and Charlie are swollen by the happiness of their victory. In his excitement, Max makes a ballsy move and challenges the undefeated global champion, Zeus, for a fight. The crowd starts chanting Atom, making Farah even more furious. After getting paid, as Charlie and Max are leaving, they're attacked by Ricky and his men for bailing earlier and not paying him the money. Although Charlie tries to make amends, Ricky and his men beat him to a pulp and rob him and Max of their winnings. The next day, Charlie takes Max to Deborah after realizing that Max is better off without him. Max protests and tells Charlie that they were happy together and doing just fine. However, seeing Charlie's disregard, Max gets upset and leaves. Deborah follows him and Charlie rejects the other half payment from Marvin. While Max packs his stuff, Charlie tries to convince him that he deserves better than this. Max responds by saying that he always wanted Charlie to fight for him. Having no other choice, Max is taken by Deborah and Marvin, leaving Charlie dejected. The next morning, Bailey makes him realize that Max looks up to him as a father and that he should not let go of the chance of being the best father he could be. The two of them kiss, revealing their attraction to each other, after which Charlie leaves. He goes to see Max and apologizes to him for abandoning him. Deborah and Max are moved by Charlie's apology. Charlie then tells Max that he has got the Zeus fight that Max wanted and convinces Deborah to allow Max to witness the fight. The news about Adam and Zeus's fight spreads like wildfire, and the crowd desperately wait for the biggest showdown. Tak Mashido, the designer of Zeus, refers only to this fight as an insult to his creation and is determined that Zeus will overcome Adam in a heartbeat. Meanwhile, as Max and Charlie make their way into the arena, the crowd surges with excitement. On the other hand, Ricky confidently makes a $100,000 bet with Finn that Adam would not last the first round. The never beaten and the never threatened king of robot boxing, Zeus, finally enters the ring. Farr can't stop smirking as the crowd goes crazy at the mighty Zeus's entry. The starting bell goes off and the bots emerge from their corners with Zeus dominating early and decking Adam with its first punch. One blistering attack after another by Zeus knocks Adam down, but he continues to get back up. Finally, Adam takes the lead and, following Charlie's commands, survives the first round. Ricky, on the other hand, tries to run away from the arena but is cornered by Finn and his men. Meanwhile, Farah is worried that Zeus won't make it, but Tak Mashido assures her that Zeus is prepared for all possible contingencies, which means that he will be fine. Finally, the second round kicks off and Zeus keeps tossing Adam across the ring. However, Adam manages to stand toe-to-toe, trading deafening blows. The crowd goes nuts as they watch two machines driven to kill each other. Finally, the fourth round starts, and midway through it, Adam's vocal response controls are damaged, leading him to stumble around the ring disoriented and dazed. Max convinces Charlie to show Adam his boxing skills so Adam can mimic them using his shadow function. The fifth and last round commences and Charlie shadow boxes outside the ring, giving Zeus a tough time. Zeus compensates and beats Adam like crazy until Zeus's power is completely depleted. Taking the opportunity, Charlie commands Adam to fiercely bust against Zeus. Zeus's controllers are unable to retaliate, so Tak Mashido takes control as Zeus hammers down. Charlie is relentless, landing blow after blow on Zeus. Bailey and Max are in tears to see Charlie putting in so much effort in taking Zeus down. The time runs out and the crowd can't stop enchanting Adam. However, according to the judges' scorecards, Zeus wins the match by the number of hits. Farr tries to flaunt her win as Zeus remains undefeated but feels humiliated by the near loss. On the other hand, Adam is titled the People's Champion. The film ends with Charlie and Max celebrating regardless of the match result and the crowd cheering for them. This movie has a rating of 7.0 on IMDb. The budget of this movie was around $110 million, and at the box office, it earned $299.3 million. I hope you all liked this video. If yes, then make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.